It was a bright and busy afternoon in the heart of the city. The streets were full of people walking, talking, and going about their daily lives. Cars moved slowly through the traffic, honking occasionally as drivers tried to find their way. On one of the main streets stood a popular restaurant, known for its great food and lovely outdoor seating. Many people liked to visit this place, especially on nice days when they could sit outside and enjoy the sunshine. That afternoon, something unusual was about to happen. A very expensive and rare car rolled slowly toward the restaurant. It was a McLaren, one of the most powerful and beautiful sports cars in the world. But this was not just any McLaren. This one was special because it was worth around $8 million. The car was shiny and new, painted in a deep, glossy color. That caught everyone's eye. It looked like a work of art on wheels. The man driving the car was the owner. He was a billionaire CEO, a man with great power and influence. People in the city knew about him because he ran a large company and lived a very wealthy life. He liked to show off his success sometimes, and his rare McLaren was one way to do that. When he arrived at the restaurant, he parked the car carefully right in front, making sure everyone could see it. As soon as the car stopped, many people nearby stopped to look. Some took pictures with their phones, whispering about how lucky the man was to own such a magnificent car. The restaurant staff also noticed the car, and some workers came outside to take a closer look when they thought no one was watching. The car was special, and everyone knew it. Inside the restaurant, a young waitress was working hard. It was Sarah. She was kind and friendly, always trying her best to help customers and do her job well. That day, Sarah was carrying plates of food and drinks to the tables outside. The restaurant was busy, and she moved quickly to keep up with all the orders. As Sarah walked near the McLaren, she tried to be careful. She did not want to disturb the expensive car. But the path was narrow, and she was holding a heavy tray. Suddenly, her arm brushed lightly against the side of the car. It was only a small touch, but it was enough to catch the attention of the billionaire CEO standing nearby. The CEO immediately turned toward Sarah with a sharp look in his eyes. His face showed anger and surprise. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" he shouted loudly, his voice echoing across the restaurant's outdoor area. "How dare you touch my car like that? Do you have any idea how expensive this is?" Everyone nearby stopped and looked at them. The customers, who had been quietly eating now, watched in silence. Some restaurant workers paused their work and stared. The air became tense. The CEO's voice was loud and sharp, and it made many people uncomfortable. Sarah felt her heart beat faster. She was nervous but did not want to show it. She knew the car was very valuable, and she was sorry if she had caused any trouble. But she had only touched it by accident, and she had not meant any harm. She looked at the CEO politely and said, "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to touch your car. I was just carrying food to the tables." The CEO did not calm down. Instead, he raised his voice even more. "Sorry, he's not good enough. This car is worth $8 million. You should be more careful. You don't know how much damage you could cause with just one little scratch." Sarah kept her calm. She had seen people with strong tempers before, but this was her first time dealing with someone so angry and powerful. She did not want to make the situation worse by arguing. Instead, she tried to explain softly, "I understand, sir. Please believe me. I was careful. If there is any damage, I will tell the manager right away." The crowd around them felt the tension growing. Some people felt sorry for Sarah, seeing her standing there quietly while the rich man yelled at her. Others felt the CEO was being too harsh. A few guests whispered to each other, wondering if the CEO always acted this way. Suddenly, a man sitting at one of the tables spoke up. "Sir, maybe you should calm down. It was an accident." The waitress didn't do it on purpose. Some guests nodded in agreement. They hoped the CEO would listen and stop yelling, but the CEO ignored the comments. He looked at Sarah again and said, "Do you know who I am? I'm not just some ordinary man. I'm a billionaire CEO. I worked very hard to buy this car. You need to respect that." Sarah took a deep breath. She wanted to show respect, but also wanted to stand up for herself. She said quietly, "I respect your success in your car, sir. But respect is not just about money or power. It is about how we treat each other." The CEO looked surprised by her words. No one had spoken to him like that before. He paused for a moment, his anger fading slightly. The crowd watched closely, sensing something was changing. Sarah smiled softly and added, "I promise I didn't mean to harm your car. And I believe accidents can happen to anyone, no matter who they are." The CEO's expression softened. He looked around at the people watching, then back at Sarah. For the first time, he spoke in a quieter voice. "Maybe you are right. Maybe I overreacted." Some people in the crowd whispered in surprise. They had not expected the CEO to change so quickly. Sarah remained calm, and the mood around them began to shift. Just then, the restaurant manager came outside. She had heard the shouting and wanted to see what was happening. She looked at the CEO and Sarah, then said kindly, "Is everything okay? Is there any damage to the car?" Sarah shook her head. "No, ma'am. There is no damage. It was just a small touch." The manager smiled and said to the CEO, "Thank you for your patience. We'll make sure everyone is careful around your car." The CEO nodded. He looked at Sarah one last time and said, "Thank you for being honest." Sarah felt relief. The crowd around them started to relax, and the busy afternoon continued. People went back to their meals, and the restaurant staff returned to work. Though the moment had been tense, Sarah's calm and respectful attitude had made a difference. The billionaire CEO had learned a small but important lesson about respect and kindness that day. And everyone watching saw how even a small act of courage and honesty could change the mood of a room. The McLaren still stood shining under the sun, but now it was not the most valuable thing there. The real value was in the way people treated each other, no matter their status or wealth. Sarah continued her work, proud to have faced a difficult moment with grace. And the city buzzed on, full of stories yet to be told. After the tense moment with the billionaire CEO, Sarah the waitress thought her workday might return to normal. But she soon realized that something special was happening. The people around, her customers, restaurant workers, even some strangers, passing by were still talking quietly about what had just happened. Many were impressed by how she stayed calm when the CEO shouted at her. He admired her quiet strength. Sarah felt a little nervous, but also proud. She had never faced a situation like that before. For a few moments, she stood still, watching. The CEO. He sat down at one of the restaurant's outdoor tables, clearly a bit different from before. His usual proud, angry look had changed to something softer. He was no longer shouting or showing anger. Instead, he looked thoughtful, almost like he was thinking about what Sarah had said. Curious customers began to look at Sarah more closely. Some of them smiled and nodded at her, as if to say, "Well done." Others whispered things like, "She was brave," or "That took real courage." The atmosphere around the restaurant felt lighter, less tense than before. Sarah continued her work, serving food and drinks, but her mind was busy. She wondered what it would have been like to be in the CEO's shoes. She thought about the power and money he had, but also about the loneliness that might come with it. People like him often lived in a world where others treated them differently because of their wealth. Maybe that made him feel stressed or worried. It showed his anger sometimes. As she moved through the tables, Sarah noticed some people looking at her with respect. A few even came up to thank her quietly. One older man said, "Young lady, you handled that situation better than most people would. You kept your cool, and that matters." Sarah smiled and thanked him. She did not think she was special. She just believed it was important to be kind and honest. Meanwhile, the CEO watched Sarah from his seat. He noticed how she worked hard, helping customers with a smile, even after he had been harsh to her. He thought about how easy it would have been for her to lose her temper or to cry, but she did not. Instead, she stayed calm and professional. A few minutes later, the CEO called the restaurant manager to his table. He asked quietly, "Who is that young woman? It's the one who spoke so calmly to me?" The manager smiled and said, "That's Sarah. She has been with us for 2 years now. She is one of our best waitresses." The CEO nodded and looked thoughtful. Suddenly, the waitress Sarah walked by near the CEO's table. He called her over. She felt her heart beat faster again. But this time, his voice was different. It was softer and more respectful. Sarah. He said, I want to say thank you for how you handled what happened. I think I was too quick to judge you. Sarah looked at him politely and said, Thank you, sir. I understand. That was an accident, and I respect your car and your success. The CEO smiled for the first time that day. I have to admit, you surprised me. Not many people would speak to me like that. Most would just stay quiet or get scared. Sarah felt a little shy, but answered honestly, I believe everyone deserves respect, no matter who they are. The CEO's eyes softened, and he said, That is a good lesson for me. He paused, then asked, Tell me, Sarah, what do you like about cars? I noticed you were careful around my McLaren. Sarah felt a little surprised. Not many people had asked her that before. She smiled and said, I like cars a lot. I have. Always loved learning about them. I even worked as a mechanic for a short time before this job. Luxury cars are very special to me. The CEO's eyes grew wider. A mechanic? Really? Yes, Sarah said, feeling proud to share. I like to understand how things work and to help fix problems. Cars like your McLaren are amazing machines. The CEO seemed interested. That's impressive. How many people in the city know much about cars like that? Sarah nodded. It is a passion of mine. I believe taking care of something valuable means more than just looking at it. It means understanding it. The CEO looked thoughtful for a moment. Then he said, You know, Sarah, I have a lot of expensive cars, but I don't always know much about how to take care of them. Maybe you could help me sometime. Sarah smiled. I would be happy to help, sir. Word quickly spread among the restaurant guests. Some began to see the CEO in a new light, not just a rich, angry man, but someone who could listen and learn. Others felt inspired by Sarah's courage and honesty. As the afternoon went on, more people stopped by to talk with Sarah. They asked about her love for cars and about how she managed to stay calm in a difficult moment. Sarah shared her story simply, saying that she always tried to treat people kindly no matter what. The CEO stayed at the restaurant longer than usual. He watched Sarah carefully serve the guests, always with a warm smile. He thought about how different the world could be if more people were like her, strong but kind, honest but gentle. At one point, a customer asked the CEO if he was upset about the earlier scene. The CEO laughed softly and said, I was angry at first, but I learned something important today. Respect is not about money. It's about how you treat others. The guests nodded, impressed by his words. Sarah felt a quiet happiness inside. She had faced a tough moment and come through with courage and kindness. It was not easy, but she knew it was the right thing to do. Later, as the restaurant closed for the evening, the CEO approached Sarah again. Said, Sarah, I want to invite you to an event where we show some of the rarest cars in the world. It is a place where people like us can share our passion. Would you like to come? Sarah was surprised and happy. Yes, sir, I would love to. The CEO smiled. Good, I think we can learn a lot from each other. As Sarah left the restaurant that day, she felt proud and hopeful. What had started as a scary moment ended with respect and understanding. She knew that sometimes the strongest people are the ones who stay kind when it is hardest. The story of the billionaire, CEO, and the brave waitress spread through the city. Many people talked about how a simple act of calm and honesty had changed a tense situation into something positive. Sarah became a symbol of courage and respect, inspiring others to stand up for themselves with kindness. The CEO, too, was changed. He realized that power and wealth were not the most important things in life. What mattered most was how people treated each other, especially in difficult moments. And so, a small moment at a busy restaurant became a lesson for many, a reminder. That respect is earned not by money or fame, but by the way we show kindness and understanding to everyone we meet. The next day, the restaurant was busy as usual, but there was a different feeling in the air. People were still talking about the event from the day before. The story of the billionaire CEO and the brave waitress had spread quickly. Some guests came in hoping to see Sarah, the young woman who had stood her ground so calmly. Others were curious about the rare and expensive McLaren that had caused the small drama. Sarah arrived early for her shift, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She did not know what to expect. The invitation from the CEO to visit a luxury car event was something she had never dreamed of. It was a chance to step into a world very different from her daily life as a waitress. But she was also determined to stay true to herself and show the same kindness and honesty she always had as she moved around the restaurant. Serving customers, Sarah noticed the CEO enter. He looked relaxed but focused. He smiled when he saw her and walked over to her table. "Good morning, Sarah," he said kindly. "I hope you don't mind if I join you for a moment." Sarah smiled back. "Of course, sir. It's nice to see you again." The CEO sat down and looked around at the busy restaurant. "I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday," he said. "You impressed me with your knowledge about cars. I would like to show you more about my collection. Would you like to come to my garage after your shift?" Salver felt surprised, but happy. "I would love to. Thank you." After her shift ended, Sarah met the CEO outside the restaurant. He led her to a nearby building with a large garage. Inside, the walls were lined with some of the most beautiful cars she had ever seen. There were sports cars, vintage models, and unique vehicles she had only read about in magazines. The CEO explained each car's story with pride and excitement. As Sarah listened, she felt her passion for cars grow even stronger. She asked questions about the engines, the designs, and the history of the vehicles. The CEO enjoyed her curiosity and knowledge. He realized that Sarah's love for cars was deep and genuine, not just a passing interest. Suddenly, Sarah's eyes focused on the $8 million McLaren, the same one from the restaurant. It was even more impressive up close. The sleek lines and powerful engine seemed to glow under the garage lights. Sarah could not help but admire its beauty and engineering. "Would you like to take a closer look?" the CEO asked. Sarah nodded eagerly. He handed her a soft cloth and said, "If you want, you can check it carefully for any scratches or damage." Sarah smiled. "I would be happy to." She moved slowly around the car, examining every inch with great care. She looked at the paint, the wheels, and the delicate parts near the doors. She used her knowledge to spot areas that might need attention and explained to the CEO what she saw. The CEO watched in amazement. "You have a real talent for this," he said. "Most people would never notice these details." Sarah blushed, but felt proud. She wanted to help and show that she could do more than just serve food. "Thank you," she said softly. "I believe every car deserves respect and care." The CEO nodded. "I agree. And I think you could help me keep my cars in perfect condition." Sarah looked at him with surprise. "Do you mean as a mechanic or caretaker?" "Yes," he said. "I want you to work with me. Your passion and skill are rare, and I believe you can learn a lot here." For a moment, Sarah felt overwhelmed. She had never expected such an offer. But she also felt a deep sense of gratitude and excitement. "This could change your life." "Would love to," she said clearly. "Thank you for trusting me." The CEO smiled warmly. "It's the right decision. Let's start with the McLaren and then move on to the others." Over the next few hours, Sarah and the CEO worked together in the garage. He showed her special tools and explained how to care for each car. Sarah listened carefully and practiced. What she learned, the CEO was patient and encouraging, and Sarah felt herself growing more confident as the sun began to set. The CEO asked Sarah if she wanted to hear a story. Curious, she agreed. "When I was young," he began, "I thought having money and power would make me happy. But it often made me lonely. People treated me differently, sometimes with fear, sometimes with false friendship. I lost touch with simple kindness and respect." Sarah listened quietly, understanding his words. "But meeting you reminded me that true respect is not about money or status. It's about being honest, kind, and humble. You showed me that yesterday. You taught me something I had forgotten." Sarah smiled gently. "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot." The CEO looked at her with gratitude. "I want to help you grow your skills. Maybe one day you could work with me full-time, managing my cars and even helping with new projects." Sarah's heart filled with hope. She thought about the journey ahead, a path she never imagined, but one she was ready to take. The next day at the restaurant, Sarah's story had spread even further. Many customers came to see her, asking questions and offering kind words. The restaurant manager was proud of Sarah and supported her new opportunity. Sarah knew challenges lay ahead. Learning about luxury cars and working with a billionaire CEO would require hard work and dedication, but she felt ready. She remembered how she faced the difficult moment at the restaurant calmly and honestly. Now she could take the next step. With the same strength, the CEO and Sarah became a team, learning from each other and sharing their passion. The $8 million McLaren was not just a car anymore. It was a symbol of respect, trust, and new beginnings. And so, from a small moment of tension in front of a restaurant, a story of courage, skill, and friendship grew. It showed that no matter where people come from, kindness and honesty can open doors to amazing opportunities. Sarah's life was changing, and the city was watching. Inspired by the lesson that sometimes the most valuable thing is not money or power, but the courage to be true to yourself. Days passed, and Sarah found herself stepping into a world she had only dreamed of. The billionaire CEO had invited her to learn more about luxury cars and their care. Every afternoon after her shift at the restaurant, she went to the CEO's private garage. There, surrounded by rare and beautiful vehicles, Sarah felt excited and ready to learn. The CEO was patient and kind. He explained how each car was different and how to take special care of them. Sarah listened carefully, asking questions and trying out new skills. The garage was full of tools and machines she had never seen before. It was a chance to grow her passion into something real. One afternoon, as Sarah was cleaning the $8 million McLaren, a small group of people came into the garage. They were guests invited by the CEO to see his collection. The crowd was curious and impressed by the cars. Some asked questions, but many just stared in wonder. Sarah noticed some of the guests whispering among themselves. They looked surprised to see a young waitress working so confidently with such expensive cars. Some even seemed doubtful at first. They wondered if she really knew what she was doing. The CEO saw their looks and said proudly, "This is Sarah. She has been learning and helping me care for my collection. Her skill and knowledge are impressive." Sarah smiled but felt a bit nervous. She knew some people judged her because of her job and background. She hoped to prove that her passion and hard work mattered. More than titles or money, the CEO then suggested something unexpected. "Sarah, would you like to show these guests how to check a car for small problems? It could help them understand what it takes to care for a luxury car?" Sarah hesitated for a moment, but agreed. She stepped forward and began explaining clearly and simply. She talked about how to look for scratches, check tire pressure, and listen for unusual sounds in the engine. She showed the guests how to clean delicate parts without damaging them. The crowd listened closely. Some guests nodded, clearly impressed by her knowledge. One man said, "I never knew so much care was needed for these cars," Sarah continued. With confidence, she shared stories about her work as a mechanic and how she loved learning about engines and design. Her words were honest and full of passion. The guests began to see her not just as a waitress, but as a skilled and knowledgeable woman. The CEO watched with pride. He knew Sarah had more talent than anyone had expected. Her ability to stay calm and explain things simply made the guests comfortable and interested. After the demonstration, some guests came to thank Sarah. They said they learned a lot and admired her confidence. Sarah felt happy and proud. She realized that her passion and honesty could open many doors. Later, one of the guests asked the CEO quietly, "How did you find someone like her? She's amazing." The CEO smiled and replied, "Sometimes the best talent comes from unexpected places." Sarah's strength and knowledge changed how I see things. She reminds me that true value is about character, not just money. As the event ended, Sarah cleaned the garage carefully. She thought about how far she had come. Just days ago, she was nervous and unsure. Now, she was teaching others and gaining respect. The CEO approached her and said, "Sarah, I want to offer you something more. Would you like to work with me full-time, managing my car collection and helping with special projects?" Sarah's eyes widened. This was more than she had hoped for. She smiled and said, "Yes, sir, I would be honored." The CEO nodded. Good. I believe in you. At that moment, the door to the garage opened again, and a well-known car expert arrived. He was curious about Sarah and the CEO's collection. The expert watched Sarah work closely, asking questions and listening to her answers. After a while, the expert said, "Sarah, you have real talent. I can see your passion and skill. Have you ever thought about working in the car industry professionally?" Sarah replied honestly, "I want to learn more and grow. I hope to make a career in this field." The expert smiled. "With your attitude and knowledge, you can go far. I would like to help you. If you want, I can introduce you to some companies that need people like you." Sarah was amazed and grateful. This was an opportunity she had never imagined. Doors were opening wider. Days turned into weeks. Sarah's life changed in many ways. She balanced her job at the restaurant with her new role in the CEO's world. She learned to fix small problems, clean luxury cars with care, and even understand business details. The CEO supported her every step, proud of her progress. But it was not just about the cars. Sarah learned lessons about respect, kindness, and courage. She saw how people judged others by their clothes or jobs, but she chose to believe in the power of hard work and honesty. One afternoon, Sarah received a message from the CEO. He invited her to a special charity event where he would showcase his cars to raise money for local causes. Sarah was excited to join at the event. Many important people arrived. Sarah helped prepare the cars and greeted guests. The CEO introduced her proudly, telling the story of how she stood strong and honest. In a difficult moment, people applauded and praised Sarah's courage. The event was a success, raising money and awareness. Sarah felt happy to be part of something bigger. She realized that her journey was about more than cars. It was about growing as a person. Inspiring others. As the night ended, the CEO and Sarah stood near the shining McLaren. He said softly, "Sarah, you have taught me more than I could have imagined. You showed me that respect and kindness are worth more than money." Sarah smiled. "Thank you for believing in me. I'm grateful for the chance to grow." The CEO looked at her with respect and said, "You have a bright future ahead. Keep being true to yourself." Sarah knew that her life had changed forever. From a nervous waitress to a respected expert, she had faced challenges and grown stronger. The story of the billionaire CEO and the brave waitress was no longer just about a career. It was about courage, respect, and the power of kindness. And so, Sarah's journey continued, inspiring others to believe that no matter where they start, honesty, hard work, and kindness can open doors to amazing opportunities. After the charity event, Sarah's life felt like it had changed in many ways. She was no longer just a waitress at a busy restaurant. She had stepped into a new world, one filled with luxury cars, new friends, and exciting opportunities. Even with all these changes, Sarah stayed the same kind and honest person she had always been. Word about her story had spread throughout the city. People talked about the waitress who had stood up to a billionaire CEO with courage and respect. They admired how she stayed calm when the CEO shouted at her, and how she later showed her skills and passion for cars. Many people found her story inspiring, reminded them that no matter where someone starts in life, they can reach great heights through honesty, hard work, and kindness. One day, Sarah received a phone call from the CEO. He had an important offer for her. "Sarah," he said warmly, "I want to invite you to join my company officially. Need someone with your passion and dedication to help manage our car collection and work on new projects. What do you think?" Sarah felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was a big step, but she knew she was ready. "Thank you, sir. I would be honored to join your team," she replied. From that day forward, Sarah worked closely with the CEO and his company. She learned even more about luxury cars, their maintenance, and the business side of things. She traveled to special events, met other car lovers, and helped organize shows and charity drives. Every day brought new challenges and chances to grow. But Sarah never forgot where she came from. She continued to work at the restaurant part-time, helping her old co-workers and staying connected to the people who had supported her. She knew that her strength came not just from the new opportunities, but from the values she carried inside her heart. The CEO watched Sarah's journey with pride. He often told his friends and colleagues about the young woman who had changed. His life, he said, Sarah taught me the true meaning of respect. It's not about money or power. It's about being kind, honest, and brave. Sarah's story became a symbol in the city. Schools invited her to speak to students about courage and kindness. Local newspapers wrote articles about her rise from waitress to respected professional. People said she was proof that anyone could achieve their dreams if they stayed true to themselves. One afternoon, Sarah received a special invitation. The CEO was hosting a gala to celebrate kindness and courage in the community.
Oh.
Many important people would be there, including leaders, business owners, and artists. Sarah felt proud to be a guest. At the gala, the CEO gave a speech. He told the story of the day at the restaurant when Sarah touched his $8 million McLaren. He spoke about how she stayed calm, honest, and respectful, even when he had been angry. The audience listened closely, moved by the story. Then the CEO invited Sarah to the stage. The crowd applauded loudly as she stepped forward. She spoke simply and sincerely. "I never expected my life to change from a small moment," she said, "but it did. Because kindness and respect matter. They open doors and build bridges between people. I hope my story reminds everyone to stay true to themselves and to treat others with care." The applause grew louder. Many people came to talk with Sarah afterward, sharing their own stories and thanking her for her courage. As the evening ended, the CEO and Sarah stood together, looking out over the city lights. The McLaren shone nearby, a symbol of power and beauty. But more important was the friendship and respect between them. The CEO said softly, "Sarah, you showed me that true wealth is found in kindness and courage. Thank you for teaching me that." Sarah smiled, "And thank you for believing in me and giving me a chance." The story of the billionaire CEO and the brave waitress became more than just a moment in time. It became a lesson for the whole community, a reminder that respect, honesty, and kindness can change lives. Sarah's journey showed that no matter where you start, you can rise through hard work and staying true to who you are. The city watched, inspired by her courage and the way she turned a difficult moment into a bright new beginning. And so, Sarah continued her path with hope and strength. She knew the future held many challenges, but she also knew she had the power to face them. With kindness in her heart and courage in her soul, she was ready to make a difference. Her story was proof that sometimes the smallest actions, like a gentle touch on a car, can lead to the greatest changes. And in a world full of noise and rush, it was the simple truths of respect and honesty that shone the brightest.